Hey guys, welcome to a new video on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. Don't forget, during the trade and draft period, these videos are sponsored by Big Betting Australia. That's betting, not betting. You really think I'd sell out? Come on now. So what that means is you can use the code BLUEABROAD at the checkout for 15% off on all orders, no minimum value, and free shipping. Check out the website. Link is in the description. Now, in today's update, we're back on the Dan Houston conversation. It has been made official by a news reporter in South Australia by the name of Josh Money that Dan Houston has requested a trade to Victoria. Josh is a sports reporter / presenter at 7 News Adelaide. He's also an Arsenal fan, so I'll take him at his word. Specifically, the tweet says, Dan Houston has informed Port Adelaide he would like to be traded to Victoria, hasn't nominated a club, and is open to staying if a sufficient deal can't be reached. Still contracted for another 3 years at Alberton. So, let's unpack this very briefly. Interesting to note that he hasn't nominated a club yet. My best guess is that will happen over the coming days, if not the next week or so, maybe after the grand final. It's just heating up. I feel like every time Dan Houston's name gets brought up in the news, when it comes to a potential move, it just continues to heat up. Is there a standoff between Houston and Port Adelaide? Are there tough conversations happening? It's really bizarre. There are a few teams who are on the radar. Evidently, St Kilda has been thrown up in there. North Melbourne has been thrown in there. Collingwood has been thrown in there. Carlton has been thrown in there. It's been reported that we have at least had a conversation with Dan Houston. So I don't know where this is going to land, but the more and more we talk about it, the more I feel like the link to Carlton grows. The Vossi factor is a big part of that, not just because Dan wants to play for Vossi, but I mean, when you're talking about the way Voss likes to play and the way Voss wants to play and his philosophy, and I think relationships naturally are a big part of what draw people to a certain place. If anything, the relationships that Dan Houston would have with people at the Carlton Football Club would likely help him integrate if it were to happen. I think having gone to the prelim on Saturday night, and I was going to do a video on this specifically, but I guess now is the perfect time to do that. What I noticed in the preliminary final is you just can't have too many great kicks in your side. Now, Houston is a great kick. What we also need to take into account is what's happening ahead of the football. But man, when the game's on the line and when it tightens up, a player's ability to open up space with their kicking is just so crucial. And I think the more I think about it and the more I think about the preliminary final, the more I warm to the idea of Dan Houston, if I'm being totally honest. What I am mindful of is the salary and what we would need to pay. But I guess having cleared some salary off the books with Jack Martin and, McGovern's salary isn't what it was. We were going to make a play for Will Hayward reportedly throughout the year. So I don't think we are in a salary cap squeeze per se. And I think the numbers of, 800, 850 a year for Dan Houston are a little bit inflated, and that's just naturally how it goes this time of the year. But in terms of those attributes, we definitely need them in the team. I think in my mind, and this is a really interesting exercise, in my mind, I'm thinking on the one hand, why would we bring in Dan Houston when we've got, Adam Saad, who we haven't really unlocked the full potential of with his foot skills. We've got Nick Newman in the side who can play across half-back. Why can't we develop a Lockie Cowan type, and these thoughts come into my mind. And then you blink. Well, Sam Doherty's another one. And then you blink and you realize, well, these guys are approaching 30, if not already there. Houston's 27. And this goes back to that conversation of you've got to take your opportunity, because every year we say, next year, a year goes by. And before you know it, Saad, Newman, Doherty, like these guys are closer to the end than what they are the start. Houston's in, right now, I would say, the absolute prime of his career and playing at the highest level that he's ever played consistently. So I am warming to the idea of Houston. Are you? Have you had time to think more about this, having seen the updates that come through? I'm interested to see where you're at with this one. Let me know what your thoughts are and we'll go from there.